2025 Bentley Continental GT Speed Prototype Drive. Yes, the hybrid V8 trumps the old W12. One rapid romp in this V8 hybrid Bentley, and you'll forget all about the lamented, overly complex 12-cylinder engine. The Bentley Continental GT has long been a compelling choice in a shrinking field of grand, continent-crossing, two-door coupes, and it's now the marque's second best-seller. So Bentley is investing in a new fourth generation of the GT line that launched in 2003, and we got an early drive of the 2025 Continental GT Speed. Much of what's new is driven by the British automaker's stated aims of owning the luxury hybrid space and electrifying its entire lineup by the end of this year. Gen 4 or 2.2. Despite the extensive camouflage that must remain until the fourth generation 2025 Bentley Continental GT officially breaks cover in late June, you can see its design will be more mid-cycle refresh than all new, as was the case between the first two generations. Still, the development team insists this is a new architecture. When pressed, it admits the hardpoints remain largely unchanged, but says the electrical architecture is entirely new, which warrants advancing the generation-o-meter another click forward. V8 plus hybrid W12. Much of that new architecture involves orange cabling that connects a 25.9 kWh, usable, battery pack with a 188 HP, 332 lb-foot permanent magnet electric motor located inside the 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, via the powertrain electronics that control them. The battery enables roughly 50 miles of electric range, on the European WLTP cycle. If the above numbers sound familiar, it's because they're near-cut/paste copies of the specs for Porsche's three recently revised Panamera e-hybrid models. Hotter, cleaner V8. The 2025 Bentley Continental GT Speed's combustion engine is revamped to meet pending Euro 7 regulations. As at Porsche, single-scroll turbos replace twin-scroll units because they're more heat-tolerant and hence can better survive without the cooling effect of fuel enrichment the regs essentially forbid. Here, V8 output rises by 50 HP and 22 lb-ft of torque to 591 HP and 590 lb-ft, an appropriate status bump up from the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid's 512 HP/568 lb-ft. The 8-speed Porsche PDK transmission is also largely shared and carried over, though uniquely tuned for Bentley wafting. With the hybrid motor's help, this new powertrain kicks out a total of 771 HP and 738 lb-ft, sufficiently superior to Porsche's 671/686. Those figures best every other production Bentley, including the mighty twin-turbo W12 that's driving off into the sunset. The electrification adds about 400 pounds to the mass of the outgoing 4.0-liter car, making it about 200 pounds heavier than a W12 model. This should drop the weight-to-power ratio down to around 6.8 to 7.2 pounds per horsepower. Third-gen cars we've measured range from 8.0 to 9.0. So Bentley predicts a 0.3-second drop in 0 to 60 mph times. Wet test drive. We've traveled to Barcelona to sample camouflaged prototypes of the fourth-generation 2025 Bentley Continental GT on the spectacular, fast, hilly 2.6-mile circuit park motor Castelloli. During the product presentation, there's a biblical downpour, but the skies brighten during the lunch break. Then as we don helmets and prepare for our 4 laps, the skies open yet again. This burst is shorter in duration and it absolutely makes our day. See, these gigantic Grand Touriers are immensely capable. The onward march of progress in tire tread compounds and construction techniques mean this newly hybridized 2025 Bentley Continental GT Speed enjoys both lower rolling resistance and better lateral, wet and dry, grip. So probing its limits in the dry requires huge speeds and cojones. A damp surface lowers such limits to saner speeds. We start out in Bentley mode and notice a detent in the accelerator at the point that will switch on the engine. With a light foot, EV mode is possible up to nearly triple-digit speeds. As we pick up the pace, we can feel discrete reductions in stability control intervention as we progress from the default Bentley mode, which prioritizes EV operation, and similar comfort setting to sport and then dynamic. By the third lap we've learned to feel the point at which the rear tires break traction, progressively shifting torque to the front, allowing us to squeeze the throttle open a bit more and hold beautiful small angle drifts. We can feel the steering effort lighten, as we cross mid-corner rivulets of deeper runoff, and yet the surface has dried just enough to get a sense of the car's elevated peak grip and improved handling neutrality. By mounting the battery and power electronics in the back, the front/rear weight distribution shifts from 55/45 front/rear to more like 53/47, allowing the AWD system to route more torque aft, and the 48-volt active anti-roll bars to bias a smidge more rear roll resistance. Driven with some skill in the sportier modes, owners should seldom find themselves complaining of understeer that's saying something in a sled this leaden. Smoother, quieter ride? These prototypes were not legal for non-employees to drive on public roads, so we can't comment on how the new 2-valve dampers or revised suspension bushings affect real-world ride. But the front longitudinal compliance bushings and 4 new ride-related rear link bushings, plus new rear subframe mount isolation bushings are all tuned to improve bump compliance and better insulate the cabin from road noise. The Continental GT Speed model's standard 22-inch tires feature sidewall construction that improves their ride and foam liners that reduce sound transmission, something else the hiss of wet pavement kept us from assessing. Noise levels are obviously more critical in a luxury car with meaningful all-electric range. The semi-active dampers, similar in concept to those used by Porsche, represent an upgrade from the single-valve units they replace. 2 valves permit independent, continuously variable control of jounce and rebound, allowing greater compliance on initial impacts, followed by better damping of the body motions that naturally follow. Comfort mode prioritizes gentle wafting over vertical inputs with no subsequent motion sickness-inducing bounding. Sportier modes increase the level of control. Why not tap Porsche's 48-volt active ride system for this big Bentley? According to Marcus Thiel, Director of Research and Development for Vehicle Motion, that system's superpower is controlling pitch, dive, and roll, with the result that's just a little too muscle-bound to suit the Continental's grand touring ambitions. When and how much? You can place orders now for this Gen 4, or 2.2 if you prefer, 2025 Bentley Continental GT, which seems poised to advance the continent crossing art yet again when it arrives at the very end of 2024. Expect the GT Speed variant launching first to be priced near $300,000, its convertible GTC compatriot to command 10% more, and more affordable Azure spec variants of both to follow, along with an even lower priced V6 hybrid model again spec'd discreetly above the one powering the Porsche Panamera 4Z hybrid.